Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, where I go through every single episode of Doctor Who from 1963 all the way to 2025 and review them. And now we are on to Arc of Infinity, the season 20 season premiere, season opener, whatever you want to call it. Oh my goodness, we are already at season 20 seasons in. Well, 19 seasons in. Either way, what do I think of this episode? I think it's a nice season opener. It's an okay season opener. To be completely honest, I did watch the sort of revamped version with the enhanced visual effects. I believe for the first couple of times I watched this episode, I watched it with the original effects, which are, well, they're a thing. They're a thing that exists, that were a part of Doctor Who for many, many years. The better part of 20, 25-ish years. But I do think that the added effects do actually help a lot. They do help make this episode come alive a little bit better. And nothing against the old original effects. I mean, they have their charm. They belong where they should. But I mean, yeah, I think I kind of prefer the more modernistic effects, as it were. Now, as for the episode itself, I mean, it's a pretty bombastic episode. I mean, first of all, let me just get this out of the way. First, Gallifrey. We're back on Gallifrey. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it every time this comes up. I am a major sucker for everything that has to do with Gallifrey. It's a shame, a crying shame, I should say, that we don't get to see this planet more often than we do, because, I mean, it's the Doctor's homeworld, and it's steeped with mystery and tradition and culture that's just, I don't think gets touched upon enough on the TV side of Doctor Who. But I mean, once again, we get to see the Panopticons, some sort of the infrastructure of Inner Gallifrey. We get to see the Gallifreyan guards. We get to see the traditional Gallifreyan robes and garbs, the president of the Time Lords, the High Council, the Castellan. Everything is back. We get to see it and enjoy it again and again. And I just love it. I eat it up. I love the new and improved robes and design. And first of all, I mean, Barusa. We get to see Barusa again. This is our third time seeing Barusa, and every time he shows back up, he's played by a different actor. I just love it. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I mean, the Time Lords sometimes like to give the Doctor a hard time for using up his regenerations a little too fast, but I mean, look at Barusa. Every time he shows up, he's a different incarnation. Every time he regenerates, and I love the fact that they actually acknowledge it in this episode specifically. It's like the Barusa, as soon as he sees the Doctor, is like, "Oh, I see you've also regenerated," and it's like, "Yeah." So I really like that aspect. I love that they acknowledge the fact that Barusa keeps changing his appearance every time he shows up on the show. But yeah, that's all of that aside. I mean, there's just so much more happening besides the whole Gallifrey thing. I mean, there's a creature from a different dimension trying to take over the Doctor's body, and the Doctor's body print was transmitted from Gallifrey itself. And for whatever reason, this creature is taking shelter in Amsterdam, of all places. And not just that, in a sewer under a crypt, under a mansion, in one of the less traveled areas of Amsterdam. Okay, that's random. I guess the Doctor Who production team really wanted to shoot on location in Amsterdam for whatever reason, and so they did. That's their excuse for writing that part into the show, into the episode. I feel like, I mean, if Real World didn't have its limitations, and you didn't have to shoot on location as much, I think more episodes would benefit from going worldwide, and instead of just focusing and zooming in on London all the time, because that's where it's easier to shoot. And that's why I think a lot of the Big Finish episodes actually really shine, is they're allowed to shoot all over the place. But that's just a minor tangent there. And oh, look at that! There's just, again, keeping in line with all the randomness. There's these two hikers who are just taking a trip to Amsterdam, and for whatever reason they lost their passports. Okay, kind of feel like, I mean, if you lose your passports, you don't have to keep running from the police all the time. Just go to the embassy. It never made sense to me. All the times I watched this episode, it never made sense to me why those two hikers didn't just go to the British embassy in Amsterdam. I mean, they're already in the capital city. I'm assuming it's not that hard to find, even in the 1980s, before GPS and the internet were all the rage. But I mean, you can't just go to the embassy. Try to get I mean, they did. I think when you first see them, they did make a long distance phone call back home or somewhere. So why didn't they just call their parents and got them to call the embassy? I don't know. That part of never made sense to me. It kind of made me a little scared to travel abroad. But that was really before I actually ever traveled outside my own country, and I was always afraid of losing my passport and having to go through the whole business with the police. Now that I'm an older man and a well-traveled man at that, I just know that if you lose your passport, you just go to the embassy. And so I don't get it. I don't get it. And another thing I don't get, it's like in the later episodes, they already have a hotel booked. So why did they have to rough it under the crypt and sleep in sleeping bags in like a sewer? Why didn't they just go to the hotel right away? Did they book it on the wrong day? I don't know. I feel like there's just so much on the page that's never really translated onto the screen with these two characters that we just don't know much about. That I think, once again, I keep saying this, I think perhaps a novelization would have explained this whole situation a little bit better. But hey, why am I harping on these two guys? Because they're important to the plot. Because one of them happens to be the cousin of Tegan Jovanka, and that's how they sort of wrote her into the show. Now, a lot of people have suggested over the years the idea that it was always the plan to not bring Tegan back at the end of Time Flight, and she didn't renew her contract or whatever. But she finally did decide to renew her contract. That's why they brought her back in this episode. But from what I gathered, this was never really the case. She was always planned to come back, which kind of begs the question: why did they leave her behind at the end of last season and only got her back at the beginning of this season?
In the beginning.
But I mean, hey, Tegan's back, so nothing bad there. And again, like I said in the previous review, this really just opened the door for a whole expanse of episodes on Big Finish, where it was just the Fifth Doctor and Nyssa. And one of the main reasons why Nyssa is my favorite Fifth Doctor companion. I just think that the Fifth Doctor has such great chemistry with Nyssa. He's got really good chemistry with Tegan as well, and it translates to off-screen as well. But I don't know, there's just something about this pairing of the Fifth Doctor and Nyssa that's just magical to me. It really works, especially on audio, and you really do feel it. And in the beginning of the first episode of this serial,
in the beginning,
where we see them trying to fix the TARDIS. And by the way, I think it's kind of ridiculous that, like, obviously, I mean, we're led to believe that this episode is only taking place a short while after Time Flight, and because the Doctor is still fixing the TARDIS after the whole Cyberman attack in the previous season, and they did do a callback to this moment. But I mean, Sarah Sawton looks significantly more mature in this episode than she did in the previous episode. And that's not even counting all the time they spent together on Big Finish, because that came years later. But I just think it's kind of ridiculous that they're still fixing the TARDIS this many adventures after the fact. But that's neither here nor there. Obviously, I mean, the episode rolls, goes on the way. The creature tries to take over the Doctor's body, and lo and behold, by episode 3, we discover that this creature is none other than Omega, one of the founding fathers of the Time Lords. Now, I will say this: I'm not a fan of Omega's new design. I mean, it's not bad. It's just I've really, really grown to like the original design from the Three Doctors. I think the less said about Omega's appearance in Empire of Death, the better at this point in time. But I mean, as far as if we're counting all three appearances of Omega on screen, I think by far the best is the Three Doctors one. But I mean, it's cool, I guess. I mean, the look of Omega, I suppose, kind of fits the time that this character was brought back. And I suppose, to an extent, his appearance in Empire of Death, the TV episode, not the novel, I suppose that's also a reflection of the times the episode was produced in. But yeah, Omega, I do really like his voice. I think the voice actor who played Omega in this also came back a couple of times on Big Finish, and for good reason. I mean, it was they really did capture Omega's voice. Once again, I prefer the original voice actor for Omega, but I mean, I think actually the uh, in Empire of Death they might have used the same voice actor who played him in this episode and Big Finish as well. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I mean, clearly he made an impact. Clearly he was a very good choice to play Omega in this episode. And lo and behold, the guy that actually betrays the Doctor and sells him out is none other than Michael Gove. I mean, clearly he played the Doctor's friend, Counselor Hedden, but I mean, I feel like at this point the Doctor should have known better than to trust someone played by Michael Gove, because he also played the Celestial Toy Maker only 20 years ago ish. So yeah, that's the second time the Doctor has fallen for that face. But personally, even knowing what comes next, even knowing the fact that Hedin is ultimately the guy that sells the Doctor out to Omega, I think the twist was done very well. I mean, the entire episode kind of leads you to believe that it's actually the Castellan or somebody else. I don't think most people would have suspected Hedin of straight off the bat, but I mean, knowing that it's actually Hedin at the end, Counselor Hedin, I don't think the episode actually does a good job explaining why Hedin betrayed the Doctor essentially to Omega. Because, like, I mean, and I think it's kind of intentional. I mean, he dies before he can spill the beans. They try to shoot the Doctor and he steps forward. By the way, he actually did try to save the Doctor, but by doing so, we never really know why he did it. Unless there's, of course, something that I missed from this episode. But yeah, while I do think the twist was done well, I don't think the character motivations were as well pronounced, I would say. But yeah, that's, I suppose, a bit of a negative of this episode. Another thing that I could argue is a negative is, I mean, it's kind of how the Matrix looks in this episode. When the Doctor enters the Matrix and he's kind of being held there by Omega, and then he brings Tegan into it. And again, yes, I suppose, product of its time, budget. I mean, considering what the Matrix looked like all the way back during the Deadly Assassin, which was great. I love the way the Matrix looked and operated back then. And of course, I know with the benefit of knowing what comes next, I know what we're going to get with the Matrix during the Sixth Doctor era. So yeah, it's a bit of a lackluster look for the Matrix. And you know what? Even during the 13th Doctor's era, when she entered the Matrix, I think it looked a lot better. But again, I suppose you have to use the old card of product of its time and budget for the way the Matrix looks in this episode. So again, that's a bit of a negative that you can attribute to this episode. Another bit of a criticism of this episode. I mean, we see the Doctor trying to fix the TARDIS in the beginning of the episode.
Ini the bininging.
He's got these gadgets and tools and whatnot, but he still didn't even bother to fix the sonic screwdriver or make a new one. And of course, again, benefit of hindsight. I know that the Doctor doesn't get a new sonic screwdriver until his 7th incarnation. I believe somewhere in the novels or Big Fin. I believe it's one of the New Adventure novels where he actually gets a new one. And we're not gonna see the Doctor use a sonic screwdriver again until like the TV movie in 1996. Come to think of it, I don't even think the 3rd Doctor had a sonic screwdriver in the 5 Doctors. I can't wait to see that episode again to prove my point. But all that being said, I mean, so what is he fixing the TARDIS with? You got all these tools and you're not the most reliable one. Whatever, it is what it is. I guess I'm just searching for stuff to get annoyed by. I suppose another major flaw this episode: the air gun looks ridiculous. I never liked that design. It's one of those stupid looking Doctor Who classic monsters that kind of are the reason why classic Doctor Who has the reputation that it is for monster effects. And also, like, I mean, Omega's TARDIS kind of looks a bit underwhelming, but one of the better parts of the episode is the final part with Omega in the Doctor's body, running around through the streets of Amsterdam, and sort of gets more and more decrepit as he goes along. And I do think I like that chase scene of him, of the Doctor and companions chasing him. I do think it kind of went on a bit too long for my taste. It kind of almost reminds me of that ridiculously unnecessarily long chase sequence from Planet of the Spiders. You know the one I'm talking about? Yeah, I do think that sort of the final showdown, as it were, with this episode does actually justify it. And by the way, I mean, it kind of ends with I can't remember if it was the Doctor or Nyssa that shot Omega in the end. But I mean, this kind of goes into a different point. Nyssa is very violent in this episode. I mean, she has no qualms about shooting Time Lords on Gallifrey. She shoots people left and right. And I suppose it's kind of been her character from the start. I mean, in Keeper of Kraken, she does actually shoot a couple of people with stun guns and stun weapons. But I mean, yeah, I suppose for everyone that keeps harping on the whole, the Doctor's a pacifist, the Doctor doesn't use guns. First of all, I mean, we have seen the 5th Doctor use guns on plenty of occasions. That's not even counting his final season. That's not even counting Resurrection of the Daleks, which is coming up in a couple of episodes from now. I mean, this Doctor can be very brutal with firearms when he wants to. So I don't want anyone saying otherwise. But I mean, just look at the effect that he has on Nyssa in this episode alone. And speaking of Doctors with guns and weapons, it is, again, with the benefit of hindsight, it's kind of funny to see Colin Baker running around in the episode as Commander Maxwell, being completely undoctorish and even shooting the doctor at one point. You know, again, knowing what comes next, he becomes the doctor in a couple of seasons. So, yeah, it is kind of funny to see Maxwell, almost like, seeing Peter Capaldi in Fires of Pompeii, or seeing Freema Agyeman in the episode she shows up in before she becomes Martha Jones. And I can think of other examples, none really that come to mind at the moment, but yeah, seeing Commander Maxwell with his ridiculous, stupid feather cap. I mean, I love the armor that he's wearing, but that stupid helmet is just Doctor Who cheesiness and corniness in the best way possible, and that is why we love it so much. So yeah, I think I just poured all my thoughts on this episode onto a video, and now I guess I'm going to have to edit all of this. So good luck to me then. Again, like I said, it's a crazy, wacky episode that just happens to be a season opener. Is it a good season opener? Probably not, but is it a fun one? I personally like it a bit. Like it quite a bit, not a lot. But yeah, so we've got another season, and this is really the season that I think the Fifth Doctor really, really stepped into his own. I think he kind of struggled in the first half of season 1. I think he really only found his stride by the time of Earthshock. So it's only going to get darker from this point on. So yeah, Arc of Infinity. It's an episode in the Fifth Doctor's era, and it's also the season opener. We got another season ahead of us, so let's trudge on ahead and see where we go from here. Goodbye for now. Hello again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. See you next time.